Good evening, good morning, everyone. It's a big honor to be with you guys in another chapter of this webinar series. We're very honored today to have Cristabel Huerta. Cristabel, how are you?
Hello, good morning, good evening over there, and good evening over here. I'm
Yeah,
fine.
okay.
Thank you, Rodolfo, for giving me this wonderful space to share knowledge with people of the sector. So I'm very excited, and I hope people will find this very informative and useful.
Okay, so we really appreciate the willingness and the passion that Cristabel has showed in the industry. And since we start this conversation to start putting this webinar together, for us is very important people like Christabel that can share our vision, can share our goals to share information to the global industry. And when we were deciding about the title of this webinar, we came up with this long title, but at the end of the day, we think that welfare, productivity, sustainability, they are very important topics today in these new trends of global poultry production. And that's we decided to put this title, the aspect of lighting and how they are related to this concept, welfare, productivity, and sustainability. And like always, this is a live webinar. So at the end, if anyone have a question, Cristabel will be open to answer. And then, like always, maybe in 2 weeks, this webinar will be open to open public by free in our channels, in our platforms, in poultryschool.com and in YouTube. So, Cristabel, the time is yours, and we're very eager to see your knowledge and what you have for us. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Rodolfo. And thank you for the attendees of giving me your time and your interest in knowing a bit more about the lighting world. So as you know, the agricultural sector is incredibly fascinating, and we at HATO understand it very good, and that the sector is constantly evolving, and innovation is key. And that is the core competence within HATO. Innovation is in our DNA, and in lighting, in presenting a best lighting solution in the market is something that we have been researching and looking for to fulfill the needs of the farmer, but of course the needs of animal. And that is how our vision goes to improve the animal well-being. And with that, we have seen that their better results comes up because light really influences in several ways in animal performance. And there is certainly a factor or an aspect that contributes in this optimal climate in the farm. So I want to start with a short introduction of HATO, just to let you know what do we come from, for those that have not known the close HATO. Well, here is the agenda of the presentation of today. Then is what is light, the poultry vision, how does poultry perceive light, and the key aspects of lighting. And of course, the HATO research and lighting benefits per application and type of housing to understand better how lighting works and all the lighting benefits that we can take care of when we understand better what a an optimal light climate is, right? So as I was saying, HATO has been established already since 50 years. So this year we are on anniversary. So we are very happy to keep sharing our knowledge and to keep bring it closer to the end user, to the people of from the sector. And as states there, our tagline is improving life through brightness. This is definitely the essence of HATO, because as I was saying, improving is with this continuous development of bringing innovative solutions, of following the trends of the markets, of course, following the regulations of the region. And we need to understand this very well, because The lighting systems can be different, applicable to the different regions. So one solution is not good for all. So we really need to understand the needs of the animals, but as well how is the type of how is our farm composed of the equipment inside, the type of house, and of course the application, because each farm is different from the other, and where it is located, it's also an influence on how light management can help you better in getting a better performances. So that is why improving life through brightness, it is not only bringing this lighting solution, but it's all the knowledge behind this lighting solution that we are offering. And so that research, those independent studies, that feedback that we get from the market is that help us to be there leading the market in agricultural sector. So what is the lighting solution of today? Of course, is the LED. And that we will point out the advantages of why it is in the market to switch from any other kind of light source to LEDs. To understand better that frame is to understand these key aspects of lighting and how LEDs outperform these aspects if we compare that with other light sources besides, of course, daylight, because that is also interesting to know when you get also daylight, that sometimes it's necessary to have supplementary lighting, and with that LED will be the best solution to have. Okay, so I have therefore here a poll for you. We are not raising the polls in your device, it's just that you get it in mind and just think for yourself. And we will come to this topic along the presentation. Okay, so what type of light source is used in poultry farms? So from your region, from what you know, and your surroundings, of if you are the end user, of operational manager or the veterinarian that goes there in the field, what are the light sources that are mostly used in poultry farms? So is it natural daylight still, fluorescent light, traditional LED, specialized LED for livestock farms, or any other? So just keep it in mind. It could be, as I was saying, there are farms with that are semi-closed or completely open, but we will see afterwards with the different key aspects of light, how the light influences animal behavior and with that performance. So we need to check we are having really the most optimal light in the farm. Okay, so what is light? That is the basic concept that we need to understand, and from there check on the key aspects of lighting. So what conforms the optimal light climate and that we are looking for to have in our farm. Okay, so in definition, it is a visible part of the electromagnetic spectrum, color vision. And if we see carefully in the graph here, in between the ultraviolet rays and the infrared rays, we have this visible light. So what we perceive as daylight, the white light, is all this combination of colors that we see it as white light, but that it has this short wavelengths until the longer wavelengths, and that each wavelength has a different color and is part of this full spectrum of light. And if we could measure the solar spectrum, we could get a graphic like here below, and you see it's quite broad. It goes from 350 nanometers, this is how you measure the wavelength in nanometers, up to 800, because it goes from the ultraviolet rays until the infrared rays. That broad is the daylight spectrum. So that is important to keep it in mind to compare how would be a light spectrum from different light sources. because what we want to have in the farm is to simulate daylight. Okay, and from this broad spectrum of light from the sun, we see only this part, but it's also very important that this visible light differs per species, and that is what I will explain here. How does poultry perceive this light? But we need to check and see and understand how poultry, what is the poultry vision. Okay, so we have here the drawing of the panoramic vision of the chicken, and we see that they have a very broad monocular vision and very narrow binocular vision. And with that being so broad, because with human is about 180, so that you can have this comparison, that chicken can even move their eyes independently. So they have a very wide vision, and therefore they are more sensitive to all what their surroundings are, but also that they are more sensitive to light. The physiognomy of the eye also differs per species. We will see it later on. But with here we see that poultry eyes process more images per second. That, for instance, in humans, we process around 25 to 30 images or frames per second, while for the hens, it's around 150 and 200 images per second. And there is because they have very sensitive eyes. They can see tiny fluctuations that are imperceptible to humans. And that is something key, because with that we will understand why flicker or photometric light flicker is a problem in poultry farms. That is because it causes a certain stress and unwanted behavior. Other things that is remarkable in the eyesight of the chickens, that they see much more colors, they see much better than humans do, but they have, well, poor night vision. And that is why they need sufficient light, even if it's low lux level. It's just that you give sufficient light so that they can perceive their surroundings, but just assure that the light is going into the right direction or in the right area, what you want to stimulate the chickens of the hens. We will understand that with the following key aspects of light. So how else is that light influences in the performance of the bird? So we see that poultry not only perceive light through the eye, that is what gives the behavioral responses, meaning what with even low lux level, they can see their surroundings. And if you have the right light going into the feeders, for instance, so that they can find feed and water. Therefore, in the first days with pullets, it is very important to have enough illuminance in the house or in the system, so that they can really get used to the system, get used to the house, to the farm, and find feed and water. Because we need them to feel at ease, and so they can find and cover their needs and feel more at ease. Therefore, lighting is very important. Now, the other way that chickens can perceive light is through the skull. It's like, I name it like the extra light sensor. Even some other sources name it as the third eye. That is how the light not only goes through the eyes, and sometimes even through the skin, but also through this pineal gland, through the skull. And that is the light sensor that stimulates their metabolism. And that is what gives their biological responses. And with that, we have to understand it is what really influences a bit more in their performance. For instance, longer wavelengths is what penetrates easier the skull, and that is what can influence in hatchability and a higher egg production, and also to have more productivity. The same longer wavelengths have different influence in their behavior, but we will go through it through the presentation. So we see that also in the physiognomy of the eye of the chicken, so that they have more rods, more cones than rods, and also more cones than we have in our eye as humans. And we will explain that in the next graphic. How is the vision of this light spectrum from a poultry side? We see in the first graphic. So they have 4 peaks. It is in the UV area, the blue, the green, and the yellow, orange, and a bit of the red. Meaning that poultry can see more colors than humans. So they are tetrachromatic, while human has a higher peak broad here in the blue, green, yellow, meaning that under these colors we perceive more light intensities. So therefore poultry are more sensitive to light. It's not only how they see it, but how also they perceive it. And if we compare those 2 graphics, we see that higher sensitivity on chickens than with humans. And that is why perhaps you have here in the market, in the sector, the way to measure light. That you know, that is the lux, is about to know the light intensity, but that is based on human perception. And the other term that is used in research, it is Galilux, because it's the way that really chickens perceive light with a higher sensitivity. And the values of the Galilux measurement will be always higher than the lux values because of this higher sensitivity. So that is, you see the human eyes is circa 400 up to 600 nanometers, and from chickens goes from 300 up to 720, 30 nanometers. Well, that is also important that you keep it in mind to understand the key aspect of light, which is light spectrum afterwards. Now, I have here another poll. This is about aspects that you consider important in a lighting installation. This is because we have all kind of audience here. There is people that is more concerned about the energy costs. So energy saving is very important, or overall cost in the farm. So it has to be with a long lifespan of the light source, so a longer durability. Also easy installation, of course, or is it really perhaps from veterinarian point of view to improve animal welfare, to have healthier animals, of course, but having healthier animals means as well better productivity. So at the end, if you can get that, you would improve farm performances. So if you are thinking about installing lights and your focus or your vision is really to improve farm performances, you are thinking on the right way, because light, it is indeed an aspect that can contribute to that, certainly, because light is really an element, a factor in the farm. So it's not just another part of the equipment, but it is really a factor that you can see it as an extra tool to manage poultry behavior and also poultry performances. So we will see how we get into this responsible farming and to get more sustainable solutions when we think about all those aspects of light. Now, what I was saying, that LEDs are the technology of nowadays in the livestock farms. So why switch to this light source? First place, because have a higher energy efficacy. What does that mean? Is that we get more lumen per watt. So more luminosity in the farm with less energy consumption. And you will see that reflected in less energy costs. So the bill of your invoice of energy will be certainly lower. But you need to be sure that you are having the right luminosity at the right place. Not that the light is wasted into the ceiling or going to the wrong area, and you are not really stimulating the animals in the right way. But LEDs outperform with that, and if you choose for a specialized LED lighting, so that is applicable only in the livestock farms, then you will get better results and better performance. Now, second is longer lifetime. LEDs triples the lifetime of other light sources. If we compare to fluorescence, for instance, there are solutions that last between 10,000 and 15,000 hours, perhaps up to 25, they are very good. With LEDs, we are talking about at least 50,000 hours. And when you have a lamp that is very robust and resistant because it's built with quality materials and that can't outstand harsh environments that we have in a poultry farm, then it would last longer. So that you will also reduce cost not only in energy, but then in purchasing lamps. It's not every time that you need to replace a lamp, or is it broken or not last enough, then you have to again spend on the spare parts, and again in downtime, or not having the optimal light climate because you don't switch or you don't change the lamp immediately, and then you get those dark spots in between and you are not having the right luminosity at the right place. So that is also other way to reduce cost and to choose for the right OPAS solution. Now, other is the optimal light climate. That is what we will explain later on, how to build that based on the key aspects of lighting. Those that influences animal behavior and will influence in their well-being, their performance, and will give you better results. And the fourth one is higher fire safety. That would also depend not only on LEDs, but the technology of the supplier, of the producers of those lighting solutions. When it is composed as a lighting system, that is more protected to overtake those peak voltages that can happen in certain regions, also to protect the lamps so that they are not broken. So that is also to do with the quality materials and the technology of the supplier. But LEDs are more dynamic, and it is easier to build a safer system that can be waterproof, dust tight, and that it can make it easier also to clean the house and better in biosecurity as well. So very important factors to consider what LEDs are better than other lighting sources. Okay, so we have come into the 8 aspects of lighting and what builds an optimal light climate, and that is light spectrum, color rendering index, or CRI, as you have heard about that, or seen in the specification of a lamp as CRI, CCT, or correlated color temperature, which is measured in Kelvin degrees, light flicker, as I was saying, that those fluctuation in light intensity, or photometric flicker, also known as that, dimmability, photo period, light distribution, and light intensity are all these key aspects of lighting that can be measured, that can be analyzed, and can be, if not always seen, you can measure them and get some data and try to improve it and ask to the specialist to help you out to build the best light climate for your farm, according to the type of application and type of housing. Now, light spectrum, going backwards on what we were looking into the graphics, what a broad light spectrum look like from a daylight. So it is the idea to simulate daylight, to get this broad light spectrum that can improve poultry vision so that they can see better. With that, you will improve their well-being because they will feel more at ease, more relaxed, no stress. You will decrease that unwanted behavior when they can perceive better their surroundings, when they can find a better feed and water, to stimulate all their natural behavior, the scratching, the going around, to stimulate the growth, to stimulate their metabolism, to have the right broader spectrum with all colors of what is composed as white light, because they need all these colors. All these colors of the full spectrum are like vitamins and minerals that will help for a proper growth. With that, you will see improved in performances, so that they will perform better because they will feel better. And we do know which kind of light climate or light color or light intensity to put in the farm, you can influence in their behavior and in their performance and get better results. So that is about light spectrum, but it's basically the same theory for all aspects of light, that is to improve vision and to improve animal welfare, and you will see a change in their performance. Okay, so here in the light spectrum, we can compare different light spectra to understand how, if you have the same color of light, it can varies in the spectrum of the light. And if we put it again, or to compare with previous graphics, on how a broad light spectrum is and how chickens perceive it, then you will be more concerned on which kind of light spectra you are giving to your animals. So we see here in the incandescent bulb, it was quite broad and more focused on the red part of the spectrum, was quite good, but not having sufficient of the blue green part. Still was okay to have in the farm from a performances point of view, but not about the lamp in the farm, because it couldn't outstand a harsh environment, so it was easily broken, and that was for sure not good for the wallet of the producer, of the manager. So to reduce those costs, they switched to fluorescent lights, because with that was a big step on reducing energy consumption, and of course extending lifetime. But we see an important change in the light spectra. This is quite reduced, so there are just peaks here and there, but it's not giving you a broad light spectrum. So we are not improving the animal vision in here. So it can last longer. It has been reduced some energy costs and purchasing costs and spare parts, but it was not fulfilling the needs of the animal. So therefore, the biggest switch has been done with the LEDs, which are more dynamic solution that allows you to simulate daylight in a better way. So it's giving you a broader light spectrum. We see here presence from the short wavelengths and also the longer wavelengths. In this case, we see that we are talking more of a warm white light, because it's more focused on the yellow red part of the spectrum, but it still has a good presence of the blue and green, which is very important for the growth of the birds. But besides that, LEDs, because the miniaturization of the LED allows you to have all kind of designs of a lamp that adapts better to the type of system in the barn, or well to the type of farm and creates the right solution to have the right luminosity at the right place. Besides that, you can mix colors and having different colors of LED in the same lamp. You can mix it or switch it depending on the application or what you want to reach, because you know that a specific color or a specific intensity influences in the behavior and performance of the birds. And as well allows you to dim lights. That is also very important aspects of light. We saw it, dimmability. We'll see later what are the advantages on that. Just to think about the dynamism of the LEDs and why this outperform other light sources. Now, the CCT, or the correlator color temperature, it is the usage of different light temperatures, which is measured in Kelvin degrees. And it's what we commonly name it in the sector as warm white lights. Those focus on the long wavelengths, on the red part of the spectrum. And there are solutions less than 3,000 up to 3,000 Kelvin degrees. The cool white are more focused on the short wavelengths, blue-green part of the spectrum. And there are solutions between the 4,000 up to 5,000 Kelvin degrees named as cool white lights to be used in poultry farms. So we see that a lower CCT means more red light in it. And a higher CCT means more blue light in it. And if we compare these colors on daylight, we see, for instance, sunrise and sunset being more in a warm light, midday sunlight around 5,000 Kelvin degrees, cloudy sky or blue sky goes more deep into the blue. So it's more blue in that spectrum. Still, the other colors are present, but it's more focused on the blue part, and therefore goes more cooler or a cool white color. All right, but what we have seen as an added value on what these colors can do or influence in poultry behavior or performance is, for instance, with a cool white, helps to improve growth during rearing periods. Because the blue-green part of the spectrum is what reinforces bones and muscles, and that activates the birds as well. So that helps to their growth, but it is important that you give the cool white, the full spectrum, and not only blue-green light, or you need to have a very specific light program that influences in a good way the growth, but not affecting their well-being, because the chickens, the animals at the end, they need also the other colors for a proper growth, and also to influence in other way their metabolism. For instance, pullets, you can use have it, the light during rearing period under cool white. But if you have pullets for laying, for production, the red color is very important to have, since they are small as pullets, not only on the production phase. So in the rearing phase, it's also important. So therefore, you need to check what is the application and what is what you need to reach and understand the animal needs. With that, increasing activity with this color can also increase unwanted behavior. So due to that activity, it can create certain stress or agitation. So anyway, you need to always follow your flock. And therefore is what we advise if you are having broilers, heavy broilers above 2 kilos, to switch to a warm white solution if you have some activity issues. The same with laying hens. If you are using cool white and you want to reduce that activity or that unwanted behavior, use warm white, because that keeps poultry calmer, decreases that unwanted behavior, and besides that, also improves on sexual stimulation and egg laying performances. Therefore, we recommend that for laying hens and parent stock. and for broilers above the 2 kilos. Now about color lighting, so which specific monochromatic color of light that we have seen as an added value is the red color. The red is really very important to have in general for all kind of application. And that is the color that is more difficult to have it in the right amount, let's say. As such, you can measure all these aspects of light if you have the right units to do that. You can see how much of the red part of the of this color you are having in that spectrum. And the red, you can mix it with white, and that mix is what helps you to reduce a feather packing. So you can use that even preventively to have a longer period of non-feather packing that eventually will not appear or will be reduced. When the problem is quite high, even going into cannibalism, you can use monochromatically reds, and that's because camouflages the red spots of blood, and that the hens stop eventually pecking because they don't see the red anymore of the blood. So that can help you, but also to stimulate egg production. So to use red, to mix it with the white, is what we recommend to use in laying hens on or parent stock. Besides, mixing colors also improves well-being because there is not a constantly switch of colors or that you have a discotheque inside the barn. So that it is not the meaning to have all kind of colors in the same house. It's just to use it correctly. And it is important that they keep the white light spectrum because it's what they get the most colors, and then just the reds added more depending on the situation of your farm. The blue is what makes the bird sit still, and that we recommend to use during vaccinations or catching before slaughter. I will show you a short video to see that effect. It's very special. And the UV is what improves a bird's vision, being able to recognize a feather pattern. So that we'll see also some research results on what UVA can do for your animals. Here we have the video. Let's play it. Different light zones inside an aviary, how it looks poultry light. So you see there was main lighting, so the lights that hung from the ceiling, and that is what gives you the most luminosity in the activity area, and that you will stimulate more natural behavior, and of course to stimulate birds to use the system accordingly. But it's also important to have, in case of aviaries, a lighting inside the system. But that will not be with so high lighting density. It is less wattage on those kind of lights, but it's just sufficient to attract birds into the system. Therefore, you have different light zones because even you have some lights depending on the type of system, but if the birds can go underneath the system, you also need some lights underneath to avoid floor eggs, for instance, and to avoid dark spots. And with regulating lights separately, so the underneath, the insider system, and the main lighting, you can learn or teach the birds to use the aviary properly. And again, light is not only another part of the equipment, but really a tool to manage behavior of birds. Okay, we'll see now another short video with the effect of blue lighting in catching broilers. There it goes. Again, we are seeing solutions that help you in a better way to manage poultry, to reduce costs, to reduce operations of having actually more effective. And you see each color has a different influence on animal behavior. Now we see here also a solution where you can mix those colors. Like in the aviary, we saw that main lighting was changing the color so that we were mixing the red into the white color. And with that spectrum, you could see that the underneath lights were looking like more green, but it's just because you are putting more red in it, and then you see more of the other color of the lights, but you still have the white light in there. So here you have as well how it can change that those lights from a warm white solution, so that's having more reds in it, until a cool white, so having more blue in it. And with that, you simulate more daylight, right? So that is what LEDs allows, and what we can see on the table here besides is why it is measured in Kelvin degrees, because they are comparing like a steel bar going on fire, and how that lower temperature looks more red, the steel and the flame, and when it goes higher in degrees is that it turns blue, and then it also is how it will be seen in the daylight. So that is the concept. Now, we see here the comparison on that light spectra. So we see that the key aspects of lighting are all interrelated. So we are talking about light colors, but also the color temperature, the light spectra. And here we see a warm white spectra, here a cool white with a higher peak on the blue, but still a broad light spectrum being from an LED solution. And in the case of that solution that I was showing, having the white and warm white and cool white with a UVA, you see a peak here in the UV, and when it is not present in other standard solution. And with that UVA as such that you can influence even better in the performance and development of the animals. In this case, it has been done a research in a small scale, but this keeps research ongoing, different independent studies and other research that they have seen that UVA really has an added value when having a complete closed house in your barn, and that it has been different factors. So the pre-laying developments that has been increased bird development, so more red gums and wattles. You see also that egg production is started earlier. You have a better litter quality, so cleaner and less spilled feed as well, because they see better, so they can even see the grains spilled in the floor, and they gonna pick them up. So you are again stimulated a more natural behavior as well when they see better. the behavior as well in groups, so they go more foraging, sleeping together, eating together, drinking, but not like piling. It's really more a better socialization. And that is also because they can even identify feather pattern, and that is unique in each hen, and that is why they can identify better within each other. Now we see as well the laying persistency, that during laying period almost never miss an egg per day. So about results on the effects of UVA. So the laying percentage on non-UVA solution was 88.6%, and with UVA 98.7%. So really an increase in there. So the total egg production from 297 eggs under non-UVA light compared with 345 eggs with UVA, so 16% increase, so 48 more eggs, and that on a small scale. And uniform egg size as well. So with non-UVA lighting, you have 4 different gradings against all size grade medium with UVA. So there is really something to keep on doing research and test on how UVA really influence on animal behavior. Here, just to take into account that LEDs allows it, and also depending on the type of house that you have, and also on the region, because for instance, here in the Nordic countries in Europe, it's almost mandatory to have the UVA included. Certainly when you have a complete closed environment or controlled environment, then artificial lighting plays a very important role. When you have a barn where the hens can go outside, or you have a semi-closed or open house, well, you receive the daylight. But don't forget that not every day is the same. Especially here in Europe, we have a lot of the cloudy days, or in a season varies quite a lot. So we need those extra daylight hours, of extra light hours to stimulate the birds properly. And the same that perhaps the daylight is not entering into the house in a more uniform way. It could be that on the sides it's quite brilliant, but in the middle of the house it's not being sufficient, or depending where you have the windows, and some windows as well, some glasses avoids the entrance of UVA light. So that's all things we have to consider. Now, the CRI is another specification that comes in the lamp itself, so it is easy to find. It comes in the technical details of the lamp from the supplier. You can also measure it, and that is as closer as the CRI goes to 100 is the closer the color presentation that comes in the sunlight. So we see that in those graphics. 60 points on the CRI is quite reasonable, but from ultravision is actually low. Then you have from 80 a good CRI, where you improve this color perception. And 90 or above is an excellent CRI. We see that the colors comes more clear, and with that you improve as well color vision and well-being of the animals. And with that you will increase performances. Light flicker is another aspect of light that is very important, and that differs depending on the technology of the supplier, that some can really avoid it, and some that I will say it is flicker free, but if you come to measure it, you will then see that it's not completely flicker free. So we really recommend you to measure it with a proper light meter. There are a few in the market that can really measure a flicker and that it is precise. So look for that, because a flicker is not something that you can see on simple human sight. We don't see it when we look into the lamp. But you can imagine when a lamp is almost broken, that it starts to flicker. But we have that lamp on our desk, and that suddenly it starts to flicker, then you know that will be broken. I have here also video when you can realize how that flicker can be perceived. But poultry can see it through the eye because instead they can perceive more frames or images per second. So they can perceive these tiny fluctuations in light. And that is annoying for them. It's really putting them in an alert stage because for them it's like a constantly on and off of the light. That is light and shadow, light and shadow. And those shadows is for them like a predator coming to catch them. And that's what they have on this alert phase, and then causing a lot of stress. And the stress caused also unwanted behavior like huddling, smothering, agitation, pecking, and that will increase mortality and of course affect your productivity. So therefore it is necessary to measure it, and with that you have to be closest to 0.0 in flicker index. What is that? So what is exactly the flicker? So I was here another poll. I already give you a hint if how you would identify light flicker by just looking to the lights. Then you know it is not possible. Could be if it is very bad the flicker, you will even see it. But with a chicken is not only see it, but they can also perceive it, because for some suppliers they might say that it is flicker free, but when you measure then it still appears. Though be sure that that might influence animal behavior, because that is still perceived through the third eye, the pineal gland. Via the skull they can perceive that fluctuation. Then sometimes you can film the lights on with a mobile phone, but then you also have to be careful, because perhaps when the lights are at 100% on, then it's not flickering, but when you start dimming the lights, then the flicker will appear. So then also recommends to measure light intensity on lower lux levels to assure as well that it is flicker free. And so therefore, it is important to measure it with a specific light meter. So here in the lights, in this graphic, we'll see that flicker varies between the minimum and maximum value of light output. So the difference is also called peak-to-peak amplitude. And the bigger the difference, the higher the flicker. No difference means no flicker. So here is how I want to put in context what an alternate current solution, so 220 to 130 volts that you connect directly from the currents, it will always have this variety in light fluctuations. Goes plus minus. Sometimes the frequency goes so fast or so high that you cannot see that fluctuation. If the frequency goes low, then you see easily that fluctuation, and then you might perceive that flicker. But if we are talking about solutions on already above 100 hertz, but sometimes you see 50,000 hertz, then yeah, this exists, but that is the thing that they want to avoid, a flicker. So it might not be seen, but it still can affect behavior. So you have to check how is your flock behaving. And the direct currents, there are solutions that work, that is actually a lighting system, which is composed with power supplies, which will convert the alternate current into direct currents to avoid this fluctuation. They have a specific dimmer that will allow to avoid this flicker presence in the lamps. So you have the dimmer, the power supply, and the lamp. that is the specific design according to the application. And with that, you will see that there will not be any fluctuation. Well, flicker is a very wide topic. Perhaps if you are interested, you leave us a comments and we can think to talk about it more in depth in the next session. But it is a very important aspect to take into account and to compare as well between the different LED lighting solutions, which one is really flicker free. And that's for the well-being of your animals, and you will see also an increase in their or a change in their behavior, in their performance, and then increase in productivity, like this research that has been done with LEDs standard bulb used in a laying farm, and then compared with a non-flicker solution. In this case was a HATO solution, and there was a follow-up done between 16 and 67 weeks, where the CCT, the color of the light, was cool white. For a laying house, we even would recommend to use a more warm light solution, but we kept the same color just to have one factor of change that was flicker-free. And for us was the focus mainly on the behavior of the birds, because they saw that there were more nervousness and agitation in the farm. When switched to flicker-free lights, there was immediately a change on their behavior. They were more at ease, more relaxed, not so much stress. And then followed the full production cycle, well, up to 67 weeks. They saw still an increase in egg production, almost the 2%. So it really comes and a better productivity. So when you are concerned on animal well-being, you will see better performances, and then at the end, you will get better results. Therefore, you have to look for a specific and specialized lighting solutions that fulfill the needs of the animals and will also help you to have a more sustainable and responsible solution. So here with dimmability, and set dimming lighting density from 100 to 0% will stimulate natural behavior, because we will simulate dusk and dawn. That definitely prepare poultry for what is coming, of the activities of the day. So you stimulate more in a natural behavior, and that will prevent the sudden stress responses when turning the lights completely at 100% on and then completely off. Those sudden changes always causes a stress in poultry. So again, you are improving their welfare, and with that, you prevent also increased heart rate and increased energy usage, so body energy that is wasted in this unwanted behavior. So what you can gain with good dimmable lighting, that is also flicker-free, that it is not occurring when dimming the lights down, and that also the lights are steady, and that you have a deep dim curve, and also all lights at the same time being dimmable. That really creates an optimal light climate, and with that you get better performances of the birds. That helps to gain more weight, and you will improve your FCR. Now, the other aspect of lighting is photo period. This is the period in which the lights are on, so the hours of light. That is stipulated in the guide management of the genetic lines, and you need to follow that, because it is adjusted according to the different factors like breed, type of housing, latitude, region, and so on. And what we know that also depending on the experience or what the genetic line recommends, there are different schemes of lighting. Is it continuously to use 24 hours of light, to have a day and night cycle, one dark and one light cycle per day, or an intermittent scheme, so multiple dark light cycles per day. What we recommend to really improve animal well-being is to have at least one dark cycle, because the animals need some rest. And that period also helps to stimulate their metabolism, to improve their immune system, and also to have a good sleep and a better growth. That rest period will also help to increase or to have a better feed intake. So we always recommend to have the dark period. We know that the initial days, the first days, you need a lot of luminosity, so that they get used to the new environments, and that they can find feed and water and their surroundings and so on. But always try to give a dark period. And then the hours per day and darkness per day, that will differ per breed, and that the same happens with light intensity, is as well another factor that varies per type of house, location, breed, and others. Even if it is you have white hens or brown hens, you have different lighting intensities. Just to stimulate a poultry properly, you need to follow those guideline management. But we can help you on how to use it, or where to measure it, how to measure it, just to optimize and the use of the house, and as well to manage your flock in a better way. So adjust the lux levels to the different areas in the house, of course, depending which kind of systems you have in the house. Is it floor housing? Is it an aviary? Is it a broiler house, but is it in cage housing, etc.? And so that will always help you to manage your flock better. Light intensity goes hand to hand with light distribution, because as I was saying, it is not only to have lights in the house, but to create an optimal light climate, that you are sure that the luminosity is coming sufficient and in the right place. Right? So like what we say on good light distribution, so the right amount of light at the right area in the house. Because overall this will stimulate a uniform feed intake, and that's flock and performance uniformity, reduce unwanted behavior in aviary and floor housing with systems inside the house, for instance, will stimulate for an optimal usage of the system, as we saw in the video. Also to prevent floor eggs, avoiding these dark spots in between and brighter spots. So that will also prevent piling. In cage housing as well, to stimulate more uniform performances on all tiers. So a correct light design and installation really play a very important role to get better farm results. Okay, so therefore it is very important to ask for a light plan, and that's according to the type of application, because then you know how many lamps you will need in the line, depending on the systems in or the house, how the light distribution should be to improve performances in there. And a light plan will tell you exactly where to install the lights. So you will get the coordinates where you need to hang the lights. In the light plan, you will see, because depending on the characteristics of your barn, if it is with dark walls, dark ceiling, of light colors inside, you'll see that then the luminosity is better reflected with light colors than with dark colors. If you have a broiler house which is black out, then of course absorbs a lot of light, and therefore you might need more lamps to get that right light distribution. And now talking about that, about the light distribution in broiler houses, is how it is depending on the market trends or regulation in different countries, that comes into innovative solutions. And specifically on broiler houses in North America, there's a recent research where it is called like gradient lighting, that you have not uniform lighting as has been done, or for instance here in Europe is kind of mandatory because they need uniform light level of 20 lux on floor. So, and that is also important to measure on bird eye level, depending on the type of housing. Well, in North America, that uniformity, they have seen that with gradient lighting, so that differs on lux levels on different parts of the house, stimulates a more natural behavior. So it is also very interesting to see all this new research that comes into improve animal welfare, that will help at the same time to reduce costs, to have a more responsible solution, and at the end, a more sustainable solution in the farm. So we'll see here several examples on the different type of housing. Sorry, I went fast. Here, how is the light distribution with other kind of lights in a cage housing that is used, for instance, in South America or South Asia. This type of housing is still common, while in Europe and also North America and other countries, we are phasing out here in Europe completely the cage housing into aviaries. And therefore, light management was a very important factor to change those challenges into benefits that help you to manage the flock in a better way, and to learn the birds how to use the system properly. So they have seen that lighting has helped to do that. And here again, when you improve that uniformity in a cage housing, so uniformity per tier, you will improve egg laying, and you will also get more uniform performance along the house and per tier, so that you will reduce that difference on lux level from the top tier and the bottom tier, because always a difference in lux level. But also try to create that comfort environment for the birds, so that they will perform better. So there has been as well here a 2.6% increase in laying percentage. So again, increase well-being, increase productivity. This is another exercise about the lighting density and light distribution. In this case, a production floor housing with the different lux levels. What I was saying, something that you can a bit compare with the grading lighting. What I was saying, different lighting densities, the same you have in an aviary house. Different lighting densities, what you have inside the system, what you have as main lighting for the activity area underneath the system. So it's just to have the right lighting density and light distribution at the right place. Now, here at the end, what I want to say is to create this differentiation on lighting density from the nest up to the activity area. So creating darker environments close to the nest to stimulate the birds to lay the eggs in the system and not in the floor, on the floor. So that you have more of a higher lighting density as you go to the activity areas. So that would depend where you will install the lights, and therefore the light plan is very important. As I will show you here, with the light plan, having the nest in the middle of the house, well, to create more luminosity on the activity areas, you will place the lights more to the sides. And with the light plan, you will know the distance between the lamp, the distance of the line from the wall to the center of the house, how high you should hang the lights just to get the right lux level on floor level, on the activity areas, also on the slats, and to create a darker areas close to the nests. So the same happened with the aviary. So where the nests are in that tier, you will not have lights, but well underneath to avoid floor eggs. And here as well that the light distribution goes uniform and that you avoid here dark exposed spots close to the slats or close to the wall, because otherwise you are simulating the bird to lay the eggs on that dark, cozy spot and not stimulating them to use the system. Okay, so we're almost there, almost to the end. The topic is quite broad, so I just want to give this a last testimonial. We'll see which has created the most interest, and we will come back certainly with another session that you get to learn more about a specific aspect of lighting of a specific application. How would it be on a broiler house, depending which area, which type of house, or how would it be in an aviary, of how to confront those challenges when you come from cage housing to aviary and so on. But here's some lighting results of switching CFL lights, the fluorescent lights, to LEDs. So that was the only factor of change. And there was a 60% savings in energy costs. And so less than 18 months was the return of investments. Well, in a term that also has been seen this results on production as well. What is always easier to see is the energy consumption to reduce those energy costs, and on the spare parts you also will see in a period of 1 year what you have saved. 25% less eggs on the floor, 4% greater uniformity in birds, 2% higher hatchability, and 2.5% peak production increase. So we were talking about breed Ross having a standard of 88% in productivity using fluorescent lights, but by using the specialized LED lighting, they are currently achieving about 91 to 92% with more persistency that also increased from 10 to 15 weeks. So that is how you see a better productivity with a responsible farming and a more sustainable solution. Well, I will leave it till here, Rodolfo. I think we have reached the time, and then we can have some room for questions as well.
Cristabel, first of all, thank you very much. I think this is a must see video. I think this was a masterclass.
So,
Yeah, we cover 1 hour 13 minutes. I'm laughing because when we were talking about, you were saying, "Oh, I'm gonna be presenting 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, something about around that."
but you see,
But
I'm very passionate, and I keep talking
yeah,
about
I know.
topic in the way that I
But
want to put all information there.
but the good thing is that the audience, the people that was joining in, nobody left.
Oh,
That's
that's
a good
very good
sign.
news.
But we have had experience to be attending different conference and different shows and different presentations. And in my opinion, Cristabel, this is a masterclass. Honestly, thank you very much for, first of all, you sharing your passion, and to Hato to sharing all this insight. We know that Hato is a brand, and you guys are putting research on this, but this is lighting basics. This is exactly what we are looking for, that anybody, anywhere in the world, if they know where to find this video when we post it, they can know about lighting. They can learn. They can find the basic of lighting. So thank you very much. We have a couple questions. We have a couple more minutes here. Lia Salvador, same, excellent, thank. Here is another question, or I don't know, but is anonymous attendance. He is saying, are any issues in terms of people getting exposed to the UVA lights? Does this have any effects on the farm workers?
Uh,
Obviously, it is safe, but are there any precautions to take? Good question.
It's a good question, but the UVA light is of the UVA factor is the one that is has benefits. So it's not the one causing harms. That is the UVB of other rays that can be doing some harm to the people, but not the UVA.
Okay. Give me a second. Somebody's asking something here. Make your question in the box. Another thing that really captured my attention, obviously I'm learning and I'm very, let's say I was putting attention. The two things that really captured my attention that I didn't know, first of all, is that the chickens have like a third eye. It's like something that the lights go into the skull and they can have the perception in the light, in the effect, right?
Exactly,
But maybe
because imagine
mhm.
that even a blind hen will perceive lights. So its light is not only going through the eye, but through the eyes and the two eyes that they have, but also to the third eye named the pineal gland or through the skull. So that's how they will also sense light intensity.
So uh, besides all this and all the passions, I was just thinking when you were sharing that is, can you imagine how if we can use that for humans? Because also we have like a pineal gland and we perceive things, but sometimes we give that for granted, and maybe we have so many answers in nature that we just need to put attention to our personal well-being,
Exactly, is that we're
right?
coming to the conclusion that I always say light is life. And really, in the sense, like you think about the five top elements that you need for life,
Uh-huh.
mostly it is, yeah, they say water, but then you stop breathing for 1 minute, maybe you hold it, maybe not. So perhaps air comes first, so you need air to breathe.
Exactly. Breathing. That
But
is the main
then you
connection.
say, yeah, water. But how you find water? Not in darkness. You need light to find water, and therefore, and in poultry, they give a higher lux level so that they can get used to the environment, and that happen also with humans, with birds. That and therefore also in the hatching. Houses that they already providing lights in there in those systems because light can be perceived since then, but then when they are born, humans are born, then you come into a high light stimulus, and that also influence on your metabolism. And the other part that is very important, light, is because it is established in the circadian rhythm. That's what establishes day and night. That is just natural. The sun comes up and the sun goes down. So there's always light, and you need light for life. So plants need light, humans need light, the animals
Yeah.
need light. But you just need to understand what are the needs of each if, species. Because also in the offices to stimulate more activity, we are more under a cool white. But yeah, the flicker perhaps we don't see it, but we might also perceive it. If you have a flicker
Wow, good
lighting, it
point.
also has causing headache and stress in people. So all this kind of aspects, like you say, is basic theory, but when you apply it in the right way to improve a well-being of your livestock, well in humans, you will see a change in performance. And as I was saying, with the day-night rhythm as well, try to get your dark period because as humans we always need some rest, and with that you will also well perform better. So when you feel at ease, you are more happy. You feel with more energy after a holiday, after some spare time. Then you feel better. So you have to try to create that natural environment. Look back to what happens in nature and try to create that in the poultry house and give the right elements, in this case about lighting, and focus on those key aspects that really influence animal behavior, and you will see a change in performance. And if it is an optimal light climate, then you will see positive performance and better results in the farm. That we can assure you.
Okay, one more question. Please, Dr. Rafiun Khan, if you can type your questions in the question and answer box. You have in your screen a little box that say Q&A. If you can type your question there, we have a couple more minutes. And then, Cristabel, I don't know if you can open the Q and answer box in your screen, but there
Yes,
is, okay, the last one,
the last one.
anonymous.
Okay. Even in the dark, the birds will actually find feed and water actually. So any explanation on that, or is it just because of
I,
other stimulus?
I
Well,
think you cover something.
yes, as I was saying, actually, poultry have a poor night vision. If we compare that with cows, for instance, or that they have this iridescent lens, you could say, in their eyes. So imagine those animals when you see it in the dark, that it seems that they have reflectors in their eyes. When we see a cat, the cow has the same. Well, poultry doesn't have that. So that means that they cannot see that so easy in dark environments, in completely dark environments. But poultry is quite sensitive to light due to this third eye and the wide poultry vision of that light spectrum. They are more sensitive to other vision. So meaning what even very low lux level, they can already identify their surroundings or what to find, where to find feed and water to just to move around. But as it's better you provide this light intensity and light distribution, they will feel better and perform better. But that's the in dark environments not really perform better. It could be a different stimulus, but light will really stimulate in the right way, having the right light intensity.
Okay, so perfect. We cover almost 1 hour, 20 minutes. I think that was a fantastic presentation, fantastic interaction for the ones that, for the people that is still in the call. When we share this presentation, you can find Cristabel in in social media, and for sure, I know that she will be more than happy to answer any direct questions. We have one last question from Moktoba Fioni. Mr. Lopez, what is your suggestion for a light plan for raising broiler chickens inside the cage?
Yes, when you have enriched cages, in this case broilers, normally you have the feeder inside the cage. You might need some light inside because it's not to be sufficient the one having hanging in the alleys of as main lighting, because you need sufficient light going inside to simulate feed intake. So ideal to have a light plan done, we need all the characteristics of the barn. So meaning dimensions of the house, the dimensions of the systems, which kind of application, in case it's a broiler, and so on. As long as we have all the information, then we can put it in our software, and then we get the best lighting solution to improve animal performance and animal well-being.
Perfect, Cristabel. So we thank everybody for the time. And like I say, for me, this is a masterclass. When we share this video, we will promote, like I'm saying, if somebody is willing, is new in the industry, somebody is willing to update their knowledge, this is a video that they need to see. And just for the audience, with Cristabel, we are preparing 3 more webinars. We're gonna be doing this bi-monthly, every 2 months. We're
Okay.
gonna have a live webinar. I think that is a wonderful way to share knowledge and to be in contact with everybody. So thanks, Cristabel. We really appreciate your value, your support, and thank you, everybody. And see you soon. Thank you.
Yes, hope to see you soon. Thank you, Rodolfo, for the space. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you next time.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye bye. Bye, everybody. Ciao.